What made the weird kid at your school weird? There was a kid in my school who was obsessed with Mario. He had Mario sweatshirts and notebooks, and a Mario backpack. Well, someone figured out that if you told him Mario is dead he'd flip, scream and cry if you know he's not every time. He got in trouble multiple times for attacking kids who said anything about Mario dying, even if they were talking about in the context of Smash Brothers or something. This happened 8th 10th grade, then I never saw him again. Mustard boy. I'll never forget him. He would cover his lunch tray in mustard. Chicken nuggets, mustard. Mexican pizza, mustard. Breakfast for lunch, mustard. It didn't matter what it was, he would drench it in mustard. He wasn't doing it just to make a mess of his lunch tray. He always finished his mustard food. Edit. Mexican pizza was a hexagon-shaped pizza with sausage and shredded taco seasoned cheese on top. It wasn't at all Mexican, but that's what it was called. He would have full conversations, arguments, and sometimes physical altercations with a brick column in the middle of the cafeteria. Who usually won? She wore bat ears and a black cape, and would scream her name while running down the hallway Naruto style. Her name was Elizabeth, but she asked that she be called Lizard. Elizabeth. I had a girl hiss at me in 5th grade. Hadn't seen her in about 16 years. Recently went to a party she was attending. She asked if I remembered her and said boy howdy. She hissed again. I always knew she was weird. The Vine where a kid goes went to my middle school. He was maybe 4 grades underneath me, but his weirdness turned him into one of the most popular kids in his grade. Had one girl in my year who had a weird obsession with our physics teacher. Then in a lesson learning about spinning forces she asked if she could show a cool video to the class. He said yes. The video was of her spinning on a pole in her underwear. When he sent her out she was yelling the whole way, "Why are you saying that pole dancing is Excel? Course that's exist." She wore butt-skimming skirts with fishnet tights and corsets on non-uniform day as well. Always got sent straight home. They ended up expelling her when we were about 17. Kid smelled like he bathed in cat pee every day. Hissed at anyone who came near him. Used to run through the hallways from class to class. Threatened to kill me in a computer lab because I used Internet Explorer instead of Firefox. She was a furry who tried recruiting people into her newly founded furry religion where the type of furry you were spiritually was based on your birthday, like some effing astrology BS. She also had a boyfriend who was into the whole furry thing, but in a really weird Excel way, cause they'd make out on the floor or in the lounge areas and bark/growl at each other, and it just made everything uncomfortable for everyone. Edit. This happened in my first year of college, if that adds to the weirdness. Teachers had to make a public announcement banning people from making out and doing all that romantic stuff on campus because of how bad it got. He would jack off in the middle of class. He didn't actually pull it out, but he would aggressively rub the side of his pants and his face would get really red while staring at the girls in the class. Everybody noticed, but a word was never spoken about it. I knew a kid that would do that during math class while reading a book about kayaking. It was really distracting. I had a few. One was obsessed with Asian culture, kind of random, since we lived in a very rural community in Canada with little connection to the outside world, let alone to Asia, and would lose her mind if anyone said anything remotely negative about it. It started out as mainly just a fixation on Pokemon, anime, and K-pop, but quickly branched out to all things Asian. She once hit me with a textbook because we were discussing M Butterfly in class, and I said that I didn't like it. This was at age 16. Another kid used to pick his nose until it bleed and then go home because he had a nosebleed. He would also eat the boogers. We were all surprisingly chill about that part of his personality. The thing we all hated most about this kid is that he would lie about the most random stuff. Like he would deny that he got hit when playing dodgeball or caught when playing tag on the playground. One time my neighbor made me a little inukshuk glue to a piece of driftwood and I brought it to school to show the class. This kid picked it up in front of everyone, immediately dropped and broke it, and then denied that it was him that broke it, even though we had all literally watched him do it. He cried when we continuously called him out on it. This was also at age 16. Edited to add that the lying kid one time broke his arm and came to school in a sling. The next day the sling was on the opposite arm. Even the teacher called him out on that one. He was on a hair trigger, would snap and threaten people. Suspended multiple times. 2 memorable incidents were when he freaked out at an art teacher, went to his locker, and came back with a bullwhip. He made that thing snap and sent everyone running. She barricaded herself in the supply room. Another time someone made the mistake of teasing him about something and everyone laughed, and he pulled a knife and screamed, "Who wants to be the first to die?" He was expelled, and I'm not sure what became of him. Imagine sitting in class thinking the weird kid is gonna retrieve his gun, but instead brings a freaking bullwhip. You went to school with Indiana Jones. The art teacher complimented his painting by saying, "Nice work. We should display your painting in the library." And that's when he snapped and screamed, "It belongs in a museum." I had a locker above his, and he always yelled something stupid. The most common phrase was, "I got balls in my face." He also somehow brought koala poop to the school. Edit. There was a possibility that it really wasn't koala poop, but it was small brown pellet in a small bag with a koala on it. In high school we had a kid that wore his pants up to his nipples. So he was called Pants all through high school. He was very strange. Got way too close to people. Purposely liked to slowly touch people and creep them out. Always walked around on his tiptoes for some reason. In grade 12 he tried to poison someone just to see how it felt. 2 years after high school he got put in jail for killing a hooker. His dad started a house fire insurance scam and died in the fire. This was around 6th grade. That messed him up a bit. The kid would tap his feet and hands uncontrollably, and he talked about shooting people. They thought they were an immortal vampire and walked around talking and acting the part. Yeah, I knew a homeschool kid who was convinced he was Spider-Man. Like he'd try to climb up walls and flick his wrists to fling web. If you didn't play along he would run crying to his mom. He wrote his crush's name on the wall in the bathroom with his own poop. They caught him brown-handed. Also would freak out if someone said werewolf. His go-to excuse for not having homework finished was that he was traveling, even though he was at every class, and he never paid attention to anything but his fidget spinner unless he was talking. The way he spoke, he knew everything there was about creative writing, yet his submissions consisted of plots ripped off directly from anime. This was in a college class. I don't think you understood him. When he said traveling he meant through time. He keeps going back to the past, writing great stories to submit for class, and before he returns to the present he trips over an uneven brick and his original story flies out of his hand and is found by a Japanese man who turns it into an anime. Probably. Homie. This sounds like an anime plot. There was a kid at my high school who never talked. It wasn't that he couldn't speak or that he only spoke to his close friends. He just wouldn't speak to anyone. Teachers didn't call on him because they knew he didn't talk. When a substitute would come in and try to call on him there was always some kid who would have to explain Ricky doesn't talk. If you asked him a question he would just look at you. It was weird and some people would take offense to his silence. But eventually everyone realized that was just his thing and rolled with it. The only time he spoke was when we had to present individually in class. On those days people would get really excited if they had a class with him because hearing him talk was like seeing a unicorn. He was caught eating berries off of a tree branch in a compost trash can in 5th grade. He'd act feral around everyone else, but if you got to know the kid he was actually pretty down to earth and cool. In middle school around 6th grade I tried getting to know him better and found out he might have had some kind of multiple personality disorder and was grateful for someone who didn't judge him that much. I'd try my best to not get him to do stupid shit. He was later expelled for what everyone said was biting a teacher. I saw him once during high school and he got really freaking hot. 2. Seemed way chilled out. When I asked about why he left he said he wasn't allowed to talk about it, but was getting help so that's always good Gabe. If you're out there I hope you're doing well. He ended up being the valedictorian for my graduating class, but his refusal to use a locker and carry all of his textbooks in his backpack led to severe back issues resulting in him wearing a backplate throughout high school. I believe he also has Asperger's, so he wasn't social either. He always carried around a briefcase, but never opened it. Sat on the briefcase during lunch, classes, etc. It was like the nuclear football, always in his hand, or he was sitting on it. He carried it onto the stage during graduation, got his diploma. Right as he was leaving the stage, he opened it up and dumped a bunch of confetti on the principal. I guess it was the long con? No one questioned why he was carrying it on stage. Weird. I didn't have any weird kids in school. Oh no. Yeah, as soon as I saw the question I was disappointed I couldn't out the weird kid at my school. I was the weird kid at my school. He walked around like Master Chief, even teabagged the ground randomly, all while holding an invisible assault rifle. She was afraid of cows, and if you said moo or mentioned cows she'd freak out and attack you. I'll give it to her though, she'd even try to attack guys 3 times her size that were athletes. I was in year 10th when he came up from primary school. I don't know what was wrong with him, but he'd always pretend to be a train and chug along through the quad. People would chuckle as he went past, but he didn't care. Him and his other weird mate would just scoot on by minding their own business. When I was in year 11th, one of the scratter kids, a proper mong, through and through, blocked his tracks and took the mick out of him. A group of us shoved him out of the way and berated him for it and encouraged Trainboy to go on his way. Ours wasn't the best school in the district, but goddamn at least the trains ran on time. Thanks for watching Team Astro. Please subscribe for more videos, like and share this video, and consider supporting us.